What you are seeing is a town that never decayed, but something inside it still moves. Pyramiden sits on the Svalbard archipelago, 78 degrees north, closer to the North Pole than to any city on Earth. Technically, it belongs to Norway, but a unique clause granted the Soviet Union mineral extraction rights. They didn't build a mine camp. They wanted to show the strength of the Soviet Union. 1,000 people lived here at its peak. They had a heated swimming pool, the northernmost in the world, a cultural palace with a concert hall. They even grew tomatoes. Yes, they imported soil from the mainland. Tomatoes in greenhouses. Around them, permafrost. The canteen served free meals around the clock. There were no kitchens in the apartments. Every meal was a public act. Life was simple, but everyone worked together. Sounds like a fairy tale? Not so fast. In 1998, the entire population evacuated. Plates left on cafeteria tables, chairs pushed back mid-meal, sheet music sat open on the piano, children's drawings stayed pinned to kindergarten walls. A memorial minecart held the last ton of coal ever extracted. The official explanation was economic collapse after the Soviet Union dissolved. I don't agree with that. Something else broke. The town had its Chernobyl moment. But let's unravel this story from 1996 on. A plane crashed at Operafjellet on Svalbard, killing 141 residents of the mining communities. That disaster shattered the illusion of Soviet mastery over the Arctic. By 1998, the mining authority could no longer guarantee food or fuel for winter. The final evacuation window lasted 4 months. Only 4 months. You can imagine the panic. After the evacuation, a few visitors came to the deserted, freezing island. They would come to regret it. Something was in these empty corridors, a tall gray figure, standing motionless in doorways. They called it the Gråmannen, the Gray Man. Svalbard endures 4 months of total darkness each winter. The town of Pyramiden has no electricity. Visitors navigate by headlamp through scary old Soviet buildings. But the buildings do not decay. Permafrost here reaches 500 meters deep. The cold prevents oxidation and bacterial breakdown. Books, bottles of Soviet spirits, teachers' stationery, all preserved exactly as left. The air smells of oxidized iron, pulverized coal dust, and decades-old wallpaper glue. History, refrigerated. But inside that refrigerator, the Gråmannen keeps appearing. The reports share uncanny consistency. Always standing still. Always at the edge of peripheral vision. Always framed in a doorway. It never moves while watched. Researchers studying threshold anxiety have documented the doorway effect. Walking through a doorframe triggers a memory reset in the brain. Your cognition literally glitches at thresholds. But the doorway effect explains forgetting, not hallucinating figures. Something else is at play. Polar explorers report a broader syndrome: paranoia, shadow figures, time distortion. Clinical researchers call it polar T3 syndrome. Prolonged darkness suppresses thyroid function. The result is cognitive decline, hallucinations, personality changes. 42% of polar residents report chronic insomnia during the dark period. The brain, starved for light, interprets wind-blown coal dust as human shapes. Shadows begin to feel like they have physical weight. One could think, the Arctic itself makes one go crazy. But here is where the timeline breaks. Former residents admitted something after the evacuation. Sightings of the gray figure began before the abandonment, not after. Workers saw it in the mines. Declassified logistics documents from 1996 and 1997 reference worker morale collapse, refusal to enter certain shafts, unexplained personnel reassignments. After 9 million tons of coal had been mined, a honeycomb of tunnels remained, deep inside the mountains. Those tunnels are not silent. They function as a massive subterranean pipe organ. Air stored at up to 80 times atmospheric pressure equalizes through the shafts. The mountain breathes. Scientists research this phenomenon. They speak of a low-frequency hum between 50 and 100 hertz. This hum is not merely heard. It is felt in the legs, in the stomach. But the critical frequency is lower. Subsonic pulses between 5 and 15 hertz radiate through the main coal transport tunnel. These vibrations travel upward through the concrete stilts on which the entire town is built. These frequencies change one's psyche. Visual disturbances, anxiety, the sensation of a presence in the room. In 1998, researcher Vic Tandy proved that a 19 Hz standing wave in his laboratory created a gray apparition in his peripheral vision. The same frequency, color, and the feeling that something is lurking. The old Soviet architecture amplifies this. How? The buildings were designed with rounded edges to deflect Arctic wind. But that design speeds up the wind. The result is a shriek between 2,000 and 5,000 hertz. Inside the cultural palace, hard reflective surfaces carry every sound for seconds. Wind entering the ventilation system mimics human screams. The Red October piano still sits in the auditorium. No formal acoustic survey of Pyramiden has ever been conducted. Norwegian authorities have declined multiple research proposals. Why? I would have been so easy to debunk the mystery as scientific fringe phenomenon. But in 2019, a documentary crew placed audio recorders overnight in the cultural palace. The recordings captured sustained tones between 17 and 20 hertz. The tones peaked during wind shifts, 17 to 20 hertz, the precise range Tandy identified as the ghost frequency. The recordings also captured what sounds like footsteps, heavy footsteps. In a verified empty building, the crew refuses to return. Gray figure sightings are not unique to Pyramiden. They repeat across abandoned polar settlements in both hemispheres. The pattern appears wherever humans built corridors in permafrost and then left, wherever wind finds empty shafts, wherever darkness lasts for months. This is not one haunted town. It is a planetary phenomenon tied to specific acoustic and neurological conditions. The three theories about the Gråmannen have never been reconciled. Some call it psychic residue of Cold War isolation in the mines. Others frame it as collective trauma, the missing 1,000 compressed into one shadow. Norwegian folklore offers a third version, the spirit of the permafrost reclaiming what was taken. A fourth detail unites every account. The figure wears a gray Soviet miner's uniform. It is preceded by the scent of pulverized coal. It appears in corridors designed to keep the Arctic out, corridors that now channel the Arctic in. Today, fewer than 5 caretakers occupy a town built for 1,000. The swimming pool is drained, the greenhouse soil has frozen solid, but the mountain still breathes. The piano still weeps, and the newest Arctic research station broke ground 60 kilometers from Pyramiden. The first crew to winter there reported that on the 43rd night of darkness, they started seeing something unspeakable.